in recruitment advertising in my dissertation. And when I first started, I realized that there is not so much researchers around Finland. And I started to find who are the people. And then I found Taina Vuorela, who has done a pioneering work in the area.
Yeah, and in the same city of Oulu, which was very handy.
Yes. And then we started to think about with Taina that there is a need to create a broader project around this topic.
For background information, I can tell that I've been studying international business negotiations ethnographically. I followed international sales teams and discovered that they used humour very strategically in reaching business goals. And here we are talking about teams who really know each other very well.
No, ainakin semmoinen vanha sanonta, mikä on kuullut muualtakin, on se, että jos ei naurua kuulu, niin pitää olla huolestunut. Ja kyllä se jotenkin tietää sen pitävän paikkansa, mutta eihän siellä nyt semmoista naururymäkkää ole tietenkään koko ajan. Mutta kyllä se niin kuin vaistoa ja aistii, ja meillä on kuitenkin 500 ihmistä, kun on siinä tehtaalla ja yhteinen ruokala ja varsinkin ainut yksi kuppila koko kylässä vieremällä. Ja sitten kun mä lauantai-iltana 10 aikaan sinne illalla, niin tiedät tasan tarkkaan, missä henkisessä tilassa firmassa mennään ja 12 aikaan tiedät, että miten ne asiat hoidetaan.
Playfulness and humour have been studied from the perspective of identifying its business potential in organizations. When humour is used inside an organization, it has a positive effect on innovation. But when it is used internally, it is the coping and reframing types of humour that are positively related to innovativeness. One humour type is negatively connected to innovativeness in organizations, and that is aggressive humour, so best to avoid it. In addition to innovativeness, there are other positive outcomes of humour and playfulness. Playful attitude and atmosphere seem to enhance work engagement of the employees in organizations.
We have investigated in humour in corporate communication, and we have found that humour has huge potential.
But also challenges.
Yes.
In both corporate level and in individual level.
Yes. And in individual level, for example, if employee is using joking, it can harm the customer satisfaction.
In corporate level, companies can use funny stories to create their own corporate brand. And they can also use humour in social media to convey their ethical values.
Yes, and especially for small companies, they can use even humour in recruitment. Mm-hmm. So they can use humour and test the job applicant's suitability to the firm.
In the service design workshop, we developed the service business of 9 participating companies, and we had different focuses.
Right, so one of them was that we created an orientation program for summertime employees for an amusement park. We also created a work well-being mobile application and then a safety application for a company.
And then we created ideas how to get young people go to the theatre and museum.
Right, so we created these different types of marketing communication solutions that used humour.
And we have always the customers in the workshops with us.
So we were involving all the relevant stakeholders. When studying the use of humour in the context of these 9 HURMOS companies, we discovered that humour can indeed be used in different stages of business development workshops and in the context of service design in order to maintain the participants' and the facilitators' motivation.
At the beginning of the workshop, the participants introduced themselves in a funny way. In warming up and activating exercise, humour is important, we noticed. And building up and maintaining a trustful and stimulating atmosphere is important.
In the future, we're going to study more about how to apply humour to different companies and to different industries. And we're also going to publish more results about peer mentoring and service design and how to use humour in those. There are several avenues of interest which we could pursue in the future research as well. We can study how to use humour and playfulness at work in order to promote well-being, and we could also study how the cultural aspect can be taken into account in cross-cultural communication, for example. And lastly but not least, we could see how playful robots can be.